Oh, welcome back, my transformational friends, family, loved ones, strangers, people that really do want to make some change. Welcome back. Or thanks for joining us today. All right, today's conversation is I look like Lyle Lovett here in my hairstyle. I'm going to touch that up. Yeah, this is the Maturity Project. I'm your host, Chat Over Broshears, or Sir Chat Over Broshears to some. If you know, you know. And today's conversation is on change and why the hell we suck so much at change. So, how many times have you tried to do something in your life where you're just like, you know what, I'm going to make some differences here? You told yourself, I'm going to make change. I'm going to do it. There's a formula to it. But a lot of us, if you don't know the formula, you're really pretty much using the frustration as motivation to change. The deal with that is that frustration has a lifespan to it. If it is fueling your motivation alone, it can be really challenging to make it stick, make it last, make it effective. It's usually until the stimulus, dissipates, whatever it is that's frustrated you. It goes away. Time can do that. You forget, you get distracted. Frustration also gets filled in with other emotions. You get a hit of joy somewhere along the lines. You get a hit of feeling loved or supported. You get upset, you get frustrated, you get angry at something else, whatever it is, subject change, your attention moves someplace else. Next thing you know, you're deflated, or you've lost your fuel source for change. So frustration is not a very good fuel source for change, but it is a damn good way of figuring out where you need to put your work. So when it comes to a formula for change, especially in behavior, one that I'll talk to you about here is, first off, there's 9 simple steps. By the way, simple doesn't mean easy. It just means it's simple. Once you understand it logically, then it's a matter of a practice and structure, a strategy to maintain it. And there's some tips that I'm going to give about that as well. But first off, if you really want to identify some things before we get to the self-identification, we're going to work on the last time you were in someplace and somebody enters the room and the room changes. You don't necessarily know why it changes if you didn't see the person walk in, but you notice that everybody kind of shifted a little bit. Maybe people position themselves towards the door or whatever. Like a celebrity walked in and people like, oh my God, we weren't expecting this person. And wow, I can't believe they're here. The room changes. Here's the thing to do, though. You notice it. If you interact with them, if you shake their hand, whatever it is, you almost feel like this godly sense of presence or something very interesting. And it just leaves you feeling that, this person is incredibly impactful. What an extraordinary human being. What an extraordinary moment to meet this person. And I'm going to tell this story to others. Here's the thing. That's a human being that you're looking at. If you shook their hand, that's a human being. You shook their hand. They're living an extraordinary life, not just because of a lottery type of approach. They had to work to become the person that they are. Not every celebrity's made the same. They all represent something about human nature, and we resonate towards whoever it is that we seem to be most like, or the ones that we have that traits that we most like. And we seem to, or we are attracted to in some way. And it could be a bunch of reasons why you're attracted to them. But you live with this experience of that person being extraordinary. But the reality is that all the things that they've done to develop themselves are not privilege to you immediately, because you're overwhelmed by the fact that you just met somebody who's popular or whatever, right? They're a celebrity. Even if it's a famous politician or famous in your area or town, not necessarily all over the place, but to you and that group of people, this person is someone who's extraordinary. Now, study this person. You can go back in your mind as well and your experiences if you've actually had this, and you can you can assess from the distance who this person is and what did you pick up at, especially when you can go back and investigate with a different set of tools. You can look back at it and say, how charismatic was this person? How did they carry their body? What kind of body posturing did they have? Did they have a physical presence of confidence? Were they engaging? Look to all of the traits. When they spoke, how articulate were they? Did they pace themselves in the conversation to allow the other person to truly be there in the conversation? Or were they speaking with such urgency and excitement that you could understand that other people weren't going to have the desire to talk when that person wanted to speak? You get to really assess this human being from a skill set and trait value so that you can take away the mystique of this special person. And you can say, you know what? If they have this, there is a 99.999% chance that I could also create this within myself. Now, there will always be the genetic aspects of it where some people have just a genetic predisposition. If some people that have a specific size to their body, let's say they're 6 foot, 9 and, 350 pounds, or just massive human beings, you're not going to get there yourself. Like me, I will never make 350 pounds. I am 5'10", and I'm just at 200, but the heaviest I'd ever been was 230 pounds. And that was quite a bit of muscle at the time. But I still had some fat anyway. But the point of it is that I'm not going to make 6'9", 350 or more pounds. It's not going to be in my kind of cards. But the other aspects and characteristics about this person that stands out, I absolutely could obtain those things. It may not be the physical prowess as much as it is the mentality and the confidence of my own physical skill sets. Now I can carry that if it's on the field. Perhaps I don't have the speed, but there's other things. If they're a sports player, there's other things that I can do to help me increase my advantages playing against this person. But it may not be directly in speed, or it may not be in the distance that I can throw. There's certain specific physical traits, but nearly everything else will have an ability for you to condition yourself. Now, I'm also not telling you to become a carbon copy of this person. You're making them a study of what you would like to become. You can see those behaviors and traits in action. You can observe what it's like to be that human being, and then look for how you line up with who you are and what you could be. So that's the first one, is let's use somebody to measure by. And then the next one, which is the second in this series out of 9, is you notice something is not right with what you are, who you are, or where you want to be. Something just isn't quite there, but you don't necessarily have your hands on it. You can't catch it. You haven't caught that fox yet. And I'll go over that in just a second. I've spoke about the fox before, and I'll continue to speak about it because it's a good, it's a good tool. Anyway, that's a good tool to use to help with this. So the fox. So first off, you have your radar. That's the blip. That's when you have something that tells you something's not quite right. I don't know quite what it is, but I know that something is not quite right. Then you're going to identify, once you've got to that point that something's not quite right, then you realize the fox just popped up. The fox is the elusive fox. It's the thing that has been messing with you this entire time. It's the thing that continues to get away, but you get lost in. I don't know what's wrong, but something isn't right. That's the elusive fox. It's in there. It's just scooting around in you. It's time to start looking for it. Once you get the blip on the radar where you're like, oh, something's not quite right here. It's now part of your presence. It's part of your awareness. If you do nothing about it, another emotion will distract you and it's gone. It's an elusive little thing. If you really want to make some change, let's start pursuing this elusive fox. So what you do is, once you have the blip, you go, okay, I'm going to go that direction. I know that I've got something over here that I'm going to go and address. That's you going on the adventure of finding the elusive fox. What you got to do is you got to catch him by his tail. You're looking at exactly what it is that you feel in that area. If you feel that you're disempowered, okay, you're disempowered, but by what? What's the root cause of that disempowerment? We can continue to say, I don't know, and let it just sit on the radar somewhere off in the distance, but it becomes just something that you can tolerate. And next thing you know, you build into yourself this thing that you can tolerate and you do nothing about, and your life continues to recreate the same things over and over and over and over again. This is a form of avoidance, but it's not a willful avoidance as much as it is an avoidance based off of that is interesting. it is an avoidance based off of the intention of pursuit, and you just don't know where to go, so you let it be. You're not intentionally avoiding it. You're just not pursuing it any further. Then you will get distracted, and before you know it, you really are lost to it, right? It's gone. But it will continue to pop up and plague you. So it's on the radar. Now it's to chase this fox. You continue to put this effort in so that you can find it. You can get to the point of catching this thing. What it is by catching it, you're really putting a definition to it. You're putting it in that it's okay. I'm no longer am I frustrated and I don't know where it's coming from. This has to do with, you know what? I'm tired of being the person that's picked last. Okay, now we have something to work with. You may have just found a family of foxes, but you found something. You got a hold of its tail, right? Now you can put more definition to it. You're tired of feeling like you're always picked last. What are the things that make you feel that way? Is it because your physical prowess is not the highest against other people if you're playing in a team sport? Is it that you don't connect well with other people and you're quiet around them? There's all of these things can build up towards it. For an example, I don't want to use this as the thing to talk about, but enough to frame this. That's it. I don't know why I always date the same person, or why I'm always dating these jerks, or these, ungrateful, B words, right? Whatever. So you get into that thinking process where, okay, now I can do something with this, because you have the opportunity to pursue it. Because if it's the person that you're dating, who are you first and foremost? What did you do to draw that person in? If you're very upset that you keep dating the same kind of person, but everybody you've met has been in a place that is usually more about just the aesthetics and or take me away from my life, escape from everything. I need to have alcohol and be, just submersed in bodies so that hopefully I just forget about what's going on in my life. And then the two of you meet there, and then you figure that you can both offer each other a solution. You start dating. The solution could be you bump uglies and you feel good because you validated yourself through sex. And then the other person says, I can't wait to see you. Now you're getting that excitement. Somebody else is validating you that you have value beyond that. But yeah, you keep talking about the things that make you feel good, like going and bumping your uglies, getting your dangly bits together and tangled up. You get into that mindset. Before you know it, you're going to end up dating people that don't have the depth of work that you also are not likely putting in either. But you're complaining like Miley Cyrus in that wrecking ball example that I give, which is you're just flying into people's worlds and you're just a wrecking ball. If you love me and you like me the way that I am, or whatever it is, you will, or I will hit you with this wrecking ball. And that damage that I'm going to do to you is going to be your reputation with the people that know you through me, and that I know through you if I get a chance to speak to them after we've had our falling out. It's a wrecking ball approach. It's the pound of flesh they talk about in the Bible. It's the desire to get even, but the reality is that you have nothing to get even with, as much as it is what you need to do is put work on yourself, because then you're likely not to go to the nightclub to meet people in order to have that escape, or to whatever it is. You're more likely to stay up late studying on other things that have to do with your goals. You're more likely to spend your time someplace that you actually get an ROI on it, that is not just escapism. So this is going to be a huge thing. So you grab that little pesky fox by its tail, and now it's no longer an ambiguous creature. It is now I'm tired of dating this type of person. And then you get into the family of what makes that fox so successful. And then it is, how are you taking care of yourself? What's your self-talk and what's your self-worth? Things like that. You can now break through and do something with it, because you're gaining momentum on the opportunities for change. Now, when you capture this little pesky fox, you get real close to it. You get to the point that you understand this thing by its nature. You're working this thing in such a way that you're now like the National Geographic, and you're watching every little nuance of this thing. You're preparing yourself by becoming aware of what it does to you. Now, I'm not saying don't do with it. Don't let it do anymore or sit in absolute paralysis. It's up to you how you do it. I became the witness of my actions, because when I first started this approach, I said, you know what, I probably should drink it. I'm like, wait a minute. Is it realistic that I won't drink the rest of my life? Or is it better that I become the witness of who I am when I do drink? and then understand a little bit more about myself and my motives and how I interact with people. So I took the latter of that, and that was my approach. I was like, okay, well, I'll have alcohol, but I will be very responsible, but I won't let that responsibility take my lessons away. So I didn't do anything to piss people off outside of what I would normally do anyway, which is not common of me. It's not in my nature really to go and piss people off intentionally. So I became a witness of it. When I made poor decisions, I would be like, okay, I've made a poor decision here. And that would actually I would allow myself to have the bigger lesson out of that. I made a poor decision, therefore this is the outcome of it. And, this is what can become expected of myself. So I'm really putting study to the animal. The little elusive fox isn't elusive anymore. It's now just the fox. And I'm following it. I'm paying attention to it. I'm going down the trails that it takes me down so that I can better myself. I'm bearing witness. I'm not doing anything erratic, irresponsible. And you can argue and say irresponsible, but I wasn't doing anything irresponsible that would damage other people in any way other than something that I couldn't repair, or something that I couldn't repair. I'm sorry. So that was it. And it was enrollment. And there's a conversation about enrollment, not for today, but I'll have that one in the near future. But you do need enrollment when you're making change, by the way, because otherwise people are like, well, I don't know why you're acting weird like this. Why do you keep changing these things? You enroll them, they understand what you're up to, and they'll give you forgiveness and support most of the time. And if not, I'll teach you exactly how to deal with an unsupportive network of support, right? Or who's supposed to be support for you. All right. So now with you studying this pesky little thing, you're going to want to start studying also when you're dealing with conflict. Are you in the avoidance model, which is not likely because you are pursuing this thing, so you're actually after it? Are you in the survival model? Or are you in the thrive model? Thrive model is not always as common. Survival is most of the time very common, because survival is, I just need to get past this. I need to be able to get through this. I just got to get there, and then I can relax, that kind of thing. Thrive is not. Thrive is, I do need to get through this, but I'm going to learn in the process. And then I'm going to know how to actually deal with this in the future. If the same or similar scenarios show up, then I'll be more adept and capable dealing with the future this way. So that has to do with when you're studying the fox, you want to study yourself, because the fox is really you, but it's a trait that you're paying attention to. But you have to look at the cost of that trait, not just the trait itself, because then you can start putting some effort into it. Because now what comes after that is you take that little fox and you send that son of a bitch off to obedience school. You're going to have it sitting back nice and pretty, giving paw, bowing, going and fetching. You're going to have it doing all kinds of stuff before you know it, but you got to send it off to obedience school first. What that means is you actually go and you say, you know what? This trait is me. It is part of me, and I'm going to make it different. I now understand it. I understand how it plays its role with me. And I know that if I'm going to make my future different, I need to do something about that difference right now. And then they make those changes. So you can make these changes now because they're going to be supportive. And then you can start building these changes with this little elusive fox, no longer elusive. You're taming it, you're training it, you're putting it into your foundation so that you're more successful as you move forward. So everything about you when it comes to traits is a lot like you just opened up, again, using the fox as an example. You just opened up the hen house, and then you had 10 foxes take off, or 20 of them, different directions, scattering all over the damn place. Well, here's the thing about it. That's how you are emotionally, and that's how you are with your traits. You will find that you become more of a potent and powerful human being when you can align those little foxes and you turn them into obedient little creatures that you can teach on how to build and structure your life with, so that they all align and support each other, so that it's not, I'm working on myself because of this one thing. It's, I'm working on myself because of all of these things, because this is the outcome that I want. Now, easier said than done, but at least I'm giving you the formula for change on this. You're going to utilize the traits that you were unaware of at one point in time. Now you're aware of them, and we can move you into how to use this in your foundation, how you can make this part of who you are. If you're tired of being pushed around, well, when we understand why you're being pushed around, then we can get to the point without you overreacting and becoming an absolute tyrant. You go, okay, I'm just tired of being pushed around. So this time, Frank, I'm not doing that. I may have done this in the past. I'm not doing it again. What else can we do? Because I'm not going to do this thing, whatever it is. You've asked me to stay over late for work again, and I got to get home. Got my family, got everything else that I need, and I've done this for you. But now you're expecting. I'm not doing it anymore. If you need me to do it a certain amount of time, and this helps the company, then that's understandable. But I'm not going to do it just because you ask. Let's create a different agreement here. It doesn't mean be a jerk, by the way. Don't lose your job. Don't fight people. But it's more of just pushing back enough that if you've been giving up that much, you can just create another conversation to build into so that you're not taken advantage of. Because if you're taken advantage of, you may not be quitting your job today in the scenario of a job, but you're working your way there mentally. You're just emotionally and mentally preparing yourself to walk. All right. The other thing is, first, I really want to make sure that you're aware of this. You can change your future. As I'd said earlier, when you look at the person that enters the room, you wonder, you're looking at why this person is commanding the room the way that they are. You can change your future. You just have to be aware. The maturity project is built this way. I'm not here to do it for you. I'm not here to do it in any way for you. I'm not going to enable you. I will help give you insights and the tools that I've used through the maturity project for my own life to help make changes, and for you to understand how to identify and utilize those tools yourself. It's the outcome you're going to own because you're going to create it. So this is a process of giving you insights so that you can better and change your outcomes. You're not stuck. You're not cursed to repeat your past unless you just let your past go on auto. If it's on autopilot, yeah, you're going to repeat it because it's not the event that occurred. It's your skills that got you to that event. If you got fired, it's not the fact you got fired, especially if you've been fired multiple times. It's not the fact you got fired. It was the skills that led up to the fact you got fired. It's not the decision that was made by the owner, especially if it was multiple people prior than that, or by your boss or whomever, especially if you've been fired multiple times. It's you. And that's where your work is. And we just have to untangle it. So, all right. So what we do want to do when we are making some changes and knowing that you can make these changes, you'll want to set your destination for what that change looks like. What kind of change are you really out to create? Then we come up with a timeline. Doesn't have to be perfect. Does not need to be accurate necessarily. It just needs to be as realistic as you can conceive. Just as realistic as you can conceive. And then we're going to put some effort into it. But once we understand the timelines, it's as realistic as we can conceive. We're going to come up with some milestones that say that you are on the right track. Because if you don't have those milestones, you're just waiting for the end destination without having a whole lot of control over it. You might have set a timeline that was not actually realistic. It was too long, and you were able to do it much faster. Or you were over ambitious and you thought you were going to get it done faster. The reality is, no, you weren't. It's you underestimated. You want to be able to hit closest to your Goldilocks zone because that'll give you better accuracy for future. Gives you timelines that you can expect things by because you're familiar with the development of your skills. Even in new intervals or new times or the first time through something new, you can at least go based off of all the other times you've gone through something new and give yourself something more reasonable on time frames. But you do want to be able to set, once you have the end destination, I'll have X done by, Friday. Well, if you're going to have this amazing report done by Friday, what's your milestones to verify you're on track, especially when you have other duties that are going to come in? Well, that's when you can say, you know what? I'm going to have out of 8 different parts of this document that I'm going to create for you, this report, I'm going to have 2 done today, 2 done tomorrow, and so on until I get to my 8. And that'll give me the timelines necessary to be able to deliver so that the product is, the document is ready by the day of. Here's another tip. Don't set the execution of that thing to that day, especially in that scenario about work. You're going to want to plan it out that you're done with it clear and clean the day before at the latest. So if you need, 4 days to complete something and you're set to do 2, the reality is that you needed 5 days just in case. Okay. And if you finished early and you don't need to go back to it, great. You've done a great job. Now you actually know for the future how to estimate something specific. So when it comes to your actual goals themselves, or your modifying or changing of your traits, keep that in mind. You do want to have something that, what would the outcome look like? And how would you be able to validate that you are headed that direction without necessarily needing to assess the who you are at the very end? So then you could say, okay, well, if I'm doing this, I'm going to give myself 3 months to really put this into practice. And I'm going to give myself, in that 3 months, I'm going to give myself 4 check-ins. Then you know how many days you need to actually set this up in order to give yourself these check-ins to validate that you're actually where you need to be. And what do those check-ins need to look like? So you're on track. You are making progress. It's a way of qualifying what you're up to so that you don't feel like you're just kind of adrift making these changes and hoping that it's done because you stay consistent. You want to give yourself the you are on the right track approach, which is simple. You just set milestones for that. So the milestones will accumulate to the total goal. And then as you realize that, your bigger life goals will actually have that particular goal you just did be part of the accumulative whole of your life goals. So the smaller goal that you have, there's going to be traits and principles and practices that you work through that actually support you getting to that outcome, especially for your bigger goal in life, because your bigger goal in life is going to require a lot out of you. Discipline is going to be one of those, consistencies another, but discipline and consistency are, they're partners. All right. So then you got to get out there and you got to start living. You got to live your life. Here's the thing about living. You got to practice it, and it's okay to fail at it. You should fail at it, especially whenever it's something new to you, because that failure will start to help build that healthy respect for what you're working on. So when you do get to the point you're highly proficient at it, you'll have that depth of confidence that you're actually helping to support other people with, versus you have that depth of confidence that can turn out to look and feel arrogant to others because you never actually show them or help them get there themselves, or yourself, to getting them there themselves. So get out and start living. Here's the other thing. Get ready for it, because you're going to get your ass kicked. You are going to get your ass kicked nicely. But here's the thing. Get your ass kicked and keep getting back up. You're going to deal with it. You're going to deal with a lot in life. Just think of, that people are depending on you. You get your ass kicked and somebody watches you get your ass kicked. They know you just lost at something, right? Like you got defeated. You're teaching them, especially if you're their idol. If you're somebody they look up to, a mentor that they have, they never told you that you're their mentor. Somebody's always watching you. Not as a weird paranoid thing. When you get out into life, you start playing it. Somebody's always watching you, because we want to learn from each other. And we look for those people that are successful, or people we have rapport with, or both, so that we can get a better position on success. So while you get your ass kicked, keep reinvesting back into getting back into it, because you're going to inspire other people to do it too. And if you want to be a person that truly is about change in life, put the effort in to get that change in life to occur for everybody. People are watching you. People are depending on you. And you shouldn't be doing this just for other people. That's a huge and beautiful benefit. Because when you can teach somebody else what you've already gone through, you're more likely to reinforce what you've gone through in a way that can be desirable. If you want to make trait changes to yourself in a success formula, start learning it as a way that you also intend to inspire others by your actions and by what your rewards are, by your outcomes. Because that'll have you in that position of also being a teacher, which takes a little bit of the heaviness out of it, but it brings a different degree of significance to it. But it's the depth of value that comes out of it as well. So it's, again, it's who's watching you. Keep that in mind. Get your ass kicked. It's okay. And trust me, it is okay. You're not good at it yet. and that's okay. Just think, though, along the way, somebody has given up, and a lot of people have. For the longer you stay on this path, the more you'll notice where other people have given up and failed. If you want to be extraordinary, you've got to do extraordinary things. Sometimes that's just sticking with it. I'm speaking to myself in this as well, because I've been doing these videos since 2012, 2013-ish, something like that. I've been doing it for a few days now, and I really have I've gotten inconsistent at times. This time feels different. This time I've made a dedication. It's a little bit differently, a declaration for the change that I want to have my life to represent. Oh, that's what I'm offering with this as well for you guys. I'm in the practice of this. I am not at the end of my game where I'm like, you know what, this is the beautiful thing that I've accumulated by my success, stuck a flag in the ground and yelled out to the world, I am successful. No, I have had great successes over my past, and I am not where I want to be, my future to be, but I'm exactly where I want to be right now. And that's in the process. I'm learning from everything, putting myself out there like this, because I want to inspire others in the process as well. Now, it's easy to recognize, especially as we look around into the world, that it really does need somebody to get involved and somebody to make some changes. It's incredibly easy to see that. But I'm going to caution you about jumping in and doing anything right now to make any changes if you have not worked on yourself enough, because you're going to be following other people who didn't work on themselves enough either, but they did get out there and they did make some changes. But if you get out there and you make some changes, you build this amazing company, you make a great deal of money, but you're miserable, are you the one that you really want to teach others by if you're miserable? Would you rather that you not be miserable but still have a lot of money? It's in who you be and how you get there. Let's work on ourselves first. Let's work on ourselves in the process. But we're going to get out there and we're going to affect the world too. Just remember, the path to hell is paved with good intentions. We're in a society right now that encourages people to make a super highway there. Got narcissism left and right that's being rewarded and promoted. We've got the dark triads of the psychology aspects that people are, encouraging: Machiavellianism, psychopathy, and sociopathy. We've got these challenges that are being conditioned into people because there's a reward sequence attached to it. Our entertainment is centered around it a lot of the times. If you want to make a difference and make a change, you got to work on yourself. Okay? Be the person that is the game changer, the virtuous one, not the vice-driven one. It's heaven and hell, really. Which one are you going to create? Because that's where your attention will go and that's where your resources will. And that's how the world will know you. Do you want to be a demon, like the devil himself? Or do you want to be an angel? Do you want to make a difference for somebody that actually is impactful and desirable for them and for you, versus the vice direction, which is typically desirable for you and not so much for them, which ultimately costs you too. But anyway, all right, let's get to it. This is the Maturity Project. Share this video with the people in your life you want to share that you want to break the ice with. Let's make some differences. Let's get after it. Share the video again with those people. Comment in the comment section. Put in there what you've been getting out of these videos, and really how it's applying to you and what you're going to take from this. And let's like the video. It'll help me with the algorithm. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Let's really move this thing up. I really would like to get to new numbers with my subscriptions, up to the point that I might be able to even monetize the videos. We'll see. But for now, I want to encourage you to just continue with this, continue checking in, look for the notifications. Make sure you hit the bell notification whenever you do subscribe, so it lets you know whenever I go live or new videos are up. And until next time, again, this is the Maturity Project. I am your host, Chad Everett Broshears, or Sir Chad Everett Broshears to some. If you know, you know. And yeah, we got some stuff to get into, so let's do it. All right. Now, got to try out this new tagline. Tell me if you like it. Comment in the comment section if you do, or if you got something else you'd like to say. So, join with me. Let's change our lives. Simple enough. So, yeah, Maturity Project. Join with me and let's change our lives together. All right, until next time. Let's go. See ya. Let's get to it.